Hey, what's going on, world? My name is Sean Handy, better known as Keisha Husband, and this is the Keisha Husband Podcast, Episode 4, the Keisha Husband Podcast, Episode 4, the Keisha Husband Podcast. Before we move any further, I gotta give glory to the biggest homie. I got to. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for transparency. Thank you for clarity. Thank you for your unconditional love. Heavenly Father, I just ask that, I surrender right now any nerves, anxiety, anything that the enemy wants to use as a weapon. God, I ask that you take it and you just transform it into your love. I ask that you remove anything out of me that's not like you. And Father, I ask that you open up and allow a door to open for transparency, a door to open for love, a door to open for grace, a door to open for your truth. And I ask that when you bring me to that door, God, I just ask that you give me the wisdom to speak it the way you want me to speak it. Not perfectly, not how I want to speak it, but God, I just ask that you use me as a vessel and you just speak through me, Lord. I thank you. I thank you for this space. I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. That's right. Welcome to the Keisha Husband Podcast. And it's only right I give glory to the biggest homie because I would not be here without the grace of God. Oh, excuse me. Me and my boy Sully we just sat downstairs and fellowshipped over some good food. You know what I mean? It was a really great vibe. And this episode is brought to you by God through the good folks over at Handed Views. No job too big, no moment too small. Shout out to Handed Views. You know what I mean? And I'm wearing the what would you call this? Kelly green? I'm wearing a Kelly green in honor of the Philadelphia Eagles because they just cooked the New York Giants. Shout out to the entire Eagles team. You know what I mean? Saquon Barkley just did his thing. A.J. Brown. I'm still learning a lot of the players. Give me some players' name. Give me somebody's name. Devontae Smith. Shout out to Devontae Smith. Give me somebody else. Jalen Hurts, of course. Oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts. I can't forget the quarterback. And what's the coach name? Sirianni. Hey, Nick Sirianni, right? Shout out to Nick Sirianni. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. They just cooked. Listen, if you need some Kelly Green Eagles merch, I got you. But man, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling recharged. I had a really, really cool weekend. I had a shoot this weekend. It was my first shoot in a little while. And just being honest about that, it was my first shoot in a little while. And what made it even more special was that it was my cousin's shoot. So shout out to Spammy, Styled by Spammy. My cousin just opened up her own hair salon, her own shop, and she hired Handy Views to come capture the grand opening. And it was dope. It was dope from beginning to the end. We got there, we captured the love. I seen some family. I networked with some potential clients, and it was just really cool to just capture that. And where we come from, I think that it's a huge accomplishment. Like it's a really huge accomplishment to open up your own business. People may not know how hard it is to decide on what it is that you want to do in life and then follow through with it. And then after you follow through with it, you start, you face some discouragement at times. You might have slow moments. You might have down moments. You're going to have up moments. But the name of the game is to stay consistent and to stay in it. And I want to shout out to my cousin Spammy for staying in it long enough to get her business popping. Got her flagship, that's what you call it, flagship store, her salon, Styled by Spammy. Shout out to you, cuz that's her IG. Her IG is going to be right here on the screen. It's going to say Styled by Spammy. So shout out to you, cuz it was incredible. It was a beautiful moment, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. So I'm going to do it again. Shout out to you, cuz Styled by Spammy. Ladies, I was in there and I was checking the vibe. She got edge brushes. She got all different type of products. We rolling, right? She got grease. I might be butchering it, but she got edge grease. She got edge brushes. She got edge water. She got, I'm only mentioning edges because I know how women feel about the edges. She got everything for your edges. Pretty much she got everything for your edges. She gonna come through. She gonna slay your hair. She got some dope stylists in there. I met the models that was a part of the shoot. I seen their hair. I know she did it. Her team did it. So shout out to Style by Spammy. Her page is going to be right here. I'm super proud of you, cuz, and I love you so much, and thank you for allowing Handed Views to be a part of your grand opening, right? And what else I do this weekend? Oh, shout out to my Aunt Larissa, too. My Aunt Larissa had a grand opening as well. Like, Saturday was really full of love, family, and just new beginnings. Shout out to my Aunt Larissa, right? Super pure-hearted woman. She never asked for anything. She just want love, you know what I mean? And she always shows up for everybody. And this Saturday, me and my wife and my daughter, we had the privilege of being a part of the breast cancer awareness walk that she had, in honor of a family member. And she had a grand opening of the daycare center, and it's going to, be, what did she say? She said that this daycare and center is going to be specialized for kids on the spectrum, and I thought that was very, very cool of her, very unique to do. And I'll make sure I get her ad name and everything I could put on there. But it's a super cool layout because I've been to her house, right? I've been to the space before, and then it just transformed into like this amazing play center for kids. And my daughter was in love with the basement. She's like, "Oh my God, I love it here. I don't want to leave." But we're gonna go back. But shout out to my Aunt Larissa. It's called Pop's Learning Center. And let me get the actual factual name because I don't want to, let me get that. Where my Aunt Larissa at? Hey, Aunt Larissa. Shout you out, Auntie. Where we at? Pop's Family Learning Playhouse. That's what it was. Shout out to my Aunt Larissa for Pop's Family Learning Playhouse. It's an amazing place, and it really felt like a playhouse, a play center, and I didn't want to leave. I was just, like, oh, my God, the colors are vibrant. The energy in there was immaculate, and you don't want to leave. I was like, man, I wish I could be a kid again. So shout out to you, Aunt Larissa. Thank you for having us. Anytime you need us, we showing up, right? So, yeah, we went to, we was a part of the walk, and we had a great time for that. So that was really cool. So, yeah. So I just want to talk about some real transparent things coming off of the episode that, last week's episode with my baby, with my wife, no other than Miss Handy, Keisha. We was just talking about quite a few things, some transparent things. And I just want to talk about something that I'm unlearning, right? A few things. I'm unlearning a few things, right? I don't got it figured out. I'm not perfect at all, right? So something that I'm unlearning in real time is that you don't have to match energy. And you can take that, excuse me, I keep the mic close like Scottie Pippen. So something that it's a phrase, and I've said it before, and it's popular in our culture, is I'm matching energy. I'm matching the energy that people give me. I'm gonna match the energy that you give me. That's a popular phrase, and it sounds cool, right? But right before, and I didn't realize that I was unlearning this, or I needed to unlearn this until probably about 30, 40 minutes ago. And I'm just being transparent. This not even in my notes. This just happened, but I'm going to get to my notes too. Me and my wife just got off work, and, I called her. And I'm like, "Hey, baby, I'm excited," because we haven't talked all day, right? Me and my wife, we get on the phone, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, baby?" She like, "Hey," blase blah. We catching up. We talking, a few words, few sentences. Oh, excuse me. And as me and my wife are talking, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong." And then we go back to, just talking a little bit. And I sensed that I felt, that she wasn't as excited as I was when we were on the phone, and her energy didn't match my energy, basically. Her energy didn't match my energy. She wasn't as excited as I was. And instantly I picked up on that, and I started to personalized that, internalized that, and I became, you know, I want to say, like, on the defense, and I wanted to shut down. I wanted to shut down, and I'm like, hey, baby, I'm gonna just go ahead and let you go, and because it just feels like, you don't really feel like talking right now. And then she responds back with like she questioned that and was like, wait, where did that come from? And, I just let her know that, like, it just don't sound like you are excited to, like, you're really in the mood to talk, or you excited. And she just got to the point of saying, no, I'm fine and everything is okay. And she just was like, baby, our energies always aren't going to always match all the time. My energy isn't going to match yours. Yours is not going to match mine. And that should be fine. And that's okay. And when she said that, I snapped out of, making it about me and personalizing it. And I instantly started thinking about, man, it's not personal. She just had a long day. She worked just like you. And you can't even imagine. You don't even know what's going on her end of the phone. You don't know what's going on in her mind. So for me to sit there and personalize that and just assume that because she's not hyped the way that I'm hyped, or she's not expressing herself the way that I'm expressing herself, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want to talk to me. It doesn't mean that she's irritated. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong. So the whole matching energy thing is something that I had to continue to unlearn in real time. And I think that's real. And I'm just being honest, and I think that's a real thing, because in the culture that we in, it's a phrase that's used all the time, and it's also something that I've seen in, whether it's in movies or in people's relationships that I know, or somebody could be walking down the street and you may see couples display their loves different ways. You could see two people, are super giddy or super excited, or you could see, you just see that in movies, and you can begin to think that that's what it looks like, and that's the template, and that's how it's supposed to be. So when my wife, when she said that statement, like, baby, we don't gotta match energy all the time, it just hit me, and I was like, dang, baby, you right. So that's something that I'm unlearning in real time. So I want to say shout out to my wife for that cool moment of communication, because it could have easily spiraled into a disagreement. It could have turned into me shutting down. It could have turned into us just not being on the same page. And what we did in that moment, in that conversation, we didn't allow it. Neither one of us allowed it to, stain the moment. We stayed on the phone. We talked it through, and then we were just, talking about something else like it never happened. So I'm super appreciative of my wife for that. And yeah, that was really cool. So unlearning that in real time, that energy doesn't have to match. And on the reverse side of that, when people are like, I'm going to match the energy that people give me. For me personally, I never want to match anybody's energy. I choose love every time. And what choosing love looks like for me is like combating anything that the enemy tries to use as a tactic for division. He uses, because the enemy wants to kill, steal, destroy. He wants to divide and conquer any way he can. And he'll use the people that you love. He'll just use any way he can get to you to distract you and to divide and to just, to manipulate and to destroy what you got going on. And when I take the time to evaluate the situation and observe it with grace and observe it with love, I respond with love. However, if I respond too quick, I'm responding out of emotion and ego. But when I take time, I'm responding with love. I'm responding with grace. And I experienced that when I just started feeling like the enemy was really trying to get at me. It was probably about a week or so ago. And it was just a weekend, and it was just a few times where I think I was misunderstanding things that people were saying to me, or it could have been taken any way. Like, it was a time where a friend of mine, he might have said something, and I'm like, did you mean it like that? Or it was a time where me and my wife were talking, and she might not have responded a way that I thought was a cool way, or the way that I wanted her to respond. Or my son, he could respond a certain way that I didn't think was the way that I, wanted to hear the response. And I took time in those moments, each of those moments, right? Because I could recall the few times. Any time that I heard those things and felt them things, I did not respond emotionally or with ego. I took a step back, and I'm like, what is this? Is this like, I see what this is. And it felt like the enemy, because I know God ain't trying to divide nothing. I know God ain't trying to tear it down. It's nothing but the enemy. The enemy is trying to, like, divide and conquer. So when I see that, I'm like, nope, I'm combating that with love. So I'll go into I go into reading a verse, I go into reading a verse from the Bible or something like that, or I listen to some worship music, and that's how I fight my battles. That's a really cool song too. That's how I fight my battles. I throw my hands up and I just give it to God. So that's something that I'm unlearning too, is to, not respond with ego, not respond with emotion, and taking time to respond. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. Also, I'm unlearning in real time that when things don't go as planned, when things don't go as planned, I don't have to be upset about it. And that's huge for me. And for me, some things that haven't gone as planned, I'll say with this year regarding Handed Views, regarding my photography business, this year didn't go as planned. And that's just being honest, 100% honest. When it comes to this year, I assumed that I was going to have a certain clientele, I was going to have a certain amount of bookings, and it hasn't gone that way. And in the contrary, I had quite a few cancellations. There's been moments where the phone wasn't ringing. There was times where I looked online and I saw clients that I worked with. They had the events, or they had the travel, or they just had the things that we talked about, and someone else did it. And it's been a very humbling year. It's been a learning year. And all it did was bring me closer to God, right? All it did was bring me closer to God. And the way that I believe that it happened, I believe that it had to happen this way. I think that it had to happen this way. And something that comes to mind is in the Bible. I was reading the Bible lately, and I really wanted to understand and really dig into the story of Jesus in the book of John. Right before the cross, and I read about Lazarus and how his sisters were like just upset and looking for Jesus, like, Jesus, our brother. They heard everything about what Jesus was doing, and they were telling Jesus that our brother Lazarus, he died, he was sick, and if you were there, then this wouldn't have happened. Jesus is like, take me to Lazarus. And he let them know that, like, Jesus wept, first and foremost, he wept. And I think that was powerful. But then he just responded and let him know that it had to happen this way. Like your brother, basically your brother Lazarus, he had to die in order for you to believe who I am and who sent me. And that right there just sent chills to my body, and it spoke to me because I think about how this, like I said, how this year didn't go as planned. And I think that there was a level of arrogance. There was a level of expectation. There was a level of assumption, entitlement. And I didn't realize those things until I had time to think about those things. And you want to know when I had time to think about those things? Every weekend that I wasn't booked. I think every weekend, every day, I started just really hearing God, like just sitting in silence or just really just reflecting. I had time to really just sit with it, and things just start coming to me. Things start coming to me. How we doing on time? Okay. You can stop it. Yeah. So I had time. I had a lot of time to process what was going on, and what I heard God saying to me was that I had to slow things down for you. I had to slow these things down. I had to stop. I had to stop the bookings. I had to cancel the shoots. The people had to cancel, and in those moments when the people, whether the client canceled, they didn't get back to me after I sent them an invoice, or excuse me, they might have told me, hey man, it's super certain I want you on this day. I need you. You the man for the job. We got you. And I'm looking like, all right, it's getting closer to that date. They didn't reach out to me. If I look online and I see them traveling, I was hurt. So I experienced some hurt. I felt rejected. I felt abandoned. I felt forgotten about. I felt angry at times. But when I saw it through the lens of, where we at, was one of a verse that I'm been meditating on, that my mentor, he told me about, is Romans 8:28, right? And it says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Not our purpose, but his purpose. So when I process that verse and I think about any and every shoot that was canceled or it just didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen, I trust that God is interfering for better. And that's how I know it's God at work, because God is, anything he takes away, he's going to multiply. He's going to, he's going to bring it back even better than before. And that may not just look like the photography business. I think it could also look like my mental health. It could look like my physical health. It could look like my energy. It could look like my spirit. It could look like the way that I interact with my family. It could look like the way that I interact with my friends. And also it can look like how I move forward with photography, how I approach it, how I just move. And I think that it's been a beautiful process. But I'll be honest, I definitely had to unlearn that when things don't go as planned, they are going even better than you can imagine. So I give God the glory for that. I'm super grateful that I'm super grateful that things didn't go the way that I wanted them to go, because there are some environments and relationships that I'm grateful that I experienced, but I can sense that I'm no longer in that space anymore. And God knew that way before I did, because I'm just now feeling that, and I'm just now realizing that. And, months ago, I didn't think that. I'm like, no, I got to work with these people again. I got to work in this type of environment. Or I started thinking, I'm manifesting. I want to work here. I want to do this. I want to do that. And God is like, you think you want that, but that's not what I want for you. And I only want what God got for me. I no longer want to do things the way that I want them. I no longer want anything that God doesn't want for me, no matter how pain. And that's my prayer. I always ask, I'm like, God, no matter what it looks like, no matter how it feels, no matter who it is, if it no longer serves your purpose for my life, please remove it. No matter how painful it is, remove it from my life. I don't want to cling to it. I just surrender it. So that's where I'm at with it, right? So shout out to that, man. Shout out to that. Right. And, you know, I want to also talk about, it was a really cool moment, right? So it was a really cool moment about, speaking of unlearning unlearning for things to go the way that we want them to go, right? When they don't go as planned. About a week ago, and speaking of cancellations too, about a week or so ago, a client reached out. They're like, hey, I emailed you. I want to book you for this party for this day. And it's on a Sunday. And I'm getting into the space of truly trusting God with the business and being able to say no at times and really honoring God the way that he wants me to. So with Sundays, right, I'm really getting to the space of not doing any shoots or any business on Sundays. I want to dedicate Sundays. I really want to dedicate Sundays to God, family, and rest and recharging, right? So this is something that I've been saying for quite some time now. I'm like, yeah, I just want to just worship God on Sunday, spend time with my family. I don't want to do nothing else. I don't want to work. I ain't going to work. And then somebody will reach out to me about a booking, right? Somebody will reach out to me like, hey, we want to book you for this. And I'm like looking at the phone, looking at my bank account, then looking at my wife. And she's always, she like, I think you know what it is. Or she just look at me like, what do you feel in your heart? And I just respond with, hey, baby, God know my heart. I got to get to it. And the few times where I've responded like that, it didn't happen. So let me tell you about the last one. It was about a week or so ago. Someone reached out to me about the booking, like, hey, I want to hire you for, Sunday. And, I respond like eager. I'm like, hey, baby, this person, what you think about this? This person reached out to me about a shoot. They want to do it on Sunday. Mind you, Sunday was already booked with, we got church Sunday, and we have a friend's party that I confirmed that we will be going to. Excuse me. Sunday is a friend's party that I confirmed that we're going to. We already talked to the friend. It's a brother of mine, my brother in Christ, right? I let him know that. Yeah, I let his wife know because it's like a surprise thing. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be there. I let my wife know she's already expecting it, skating vibes with the family and everything. I'm like, all right, bet we're going to be there. But when this person reached out, I didn't even I started thinking in my mind excuses or reasons why I couldn't do the family thing and how I had to go get this money. And that's the mindset that I am, unlearning, the hustle mindset. Because I think that the hustle mindset is what I was raised on, is what I was taught, is what I saw. I want to transform that from a hustle mindset to a more faith-based mindset. And you know who I believe does that really well? I think Chick-fil-A. I think Chick-fil-A is a great example of a faith-based mindset, right? And what I learned was that Chick-fil-A is a Christian company, Christian owner, and it made sense to me, It made sense to me why they're closed on Sundays and why they're so successful. I truly believe that Chick-fil-A is successful because they close on Sundays and they're Christian-based, and that right there honors God. And I'm sure they tithe too. And on Sundays, they're closed. There's never no line at Chick-fil-A. But Monday morning when they open back up, there's a long line. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a long line every day at Chick-fil-A. But on Sundays, everybody knows they're closed. They never needed to change it. They never had to adjust. They never had to beg anybody to come. And and that's what it is. So seeing that, it just really it really stood out to me. And I'm like, man, I see all these other businesses, right? I see all these other businesses, and I see that they're open every day of the week. But the only business that's closed on Sunday is the business that follows God and is of the faith. And that's an example that I admire and I want to live by. So moving forward, I just listen with unless God is like, hey, you got to do this. Unless God tell me I got to do it, I'm not taking any bookings on Sundays. That's just what it is. And y'all can hold me accountable for it. You know, you like, hey, Sean, did you do a booking on Sunday? You got anything going on Sunday? I'm going to let y'all know. I'm going to church, spending quality time with the family, and that's what it is. But, so we went to that person. I let them know that, hey, this is what the fee is going to be for that Sunday. And they were like, yeah, it's cool. Let's do it. And, some time had passed by, and I no longer heard from them, right? And my wife was like, hey, did you hear anything about the booking? And I was a little, not a little bit, I was a lot embarrassed to admit that it fell through, because here I go, I'm super eager and super thirsty to not go to what our original plan was for the sake of the money, but that fell through. And now it's like, yeah, baby, that fell through. So we definitely going to that. And please charge it to my mind, not my heart. Because like I said, I'm unlearning the hustler mindset to a more faith-based mindset. Like, you know what? All money ain't good money, meaning that God will provide. I ain't got to be scrambling or thinking that I got to hustle to get it. God is going to provide. Because anytime that God, anytime something fell through, and I truly just trusted God with it, and I didn't try to take the power in my own hands. I didn't try to control the situation. I didn't try to say, let me figure it out. Let me figure it out. Let me figure it out. God always came through with more. He came through with something better, and that's just being honest. And I'm so glad that I did go, because I got to see, a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters there, a lot of the family, and it was just a good time. Me and my daughter was going around skating. My wife came out. We all skating. We vibing to the music, singing to each other, and it was just really dope. And I'm grateful for that. And while we were there, shout out to my brother in Christ, Marquise. I'm shouting you out, bro. I'm grateful for you. Shout out to you and your wife, Christine. I appreciate y'all. And, and the baby girls. That's super cool, man. Shout out to y'all and the family and everything like that. But me and my brother, Marquise, we was just, skating and everything. The ladies was over there vibing. And me and my brother, we was just talking. And he just, pulled up on me, and we just had like a cool little huddle. We just skating like at a cool pace, just vibing. And he's like, yo, bro, congratulations on the marriage. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm a part of the, my brother Legend, he'll tell you it's the Left Hand Club. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm a part of the Left Hand Club now. And as we were skating, he had asked me, he like, oh, let me see some more. Yo, I'm always assuming like, yo, is that my wife? Make sure my wife cool. She texts me. Shout out to my wife. Baby, I see you. I appreciate you. And I'm grateful for you. So yeah, my guy Marquise, he's like, yo, bro, how's it feel being married? I'm like, yo, man, it's amazing. It's really dope. And then he's like, let me ask you, man, when it comes to marriage, man, what's one word would you say describe it? And in that moment, all I could think about was I'm looking around, we skating, it's fun, and I'm like, happy. I feel happy. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, happy, that's my word. I'm like, happy, or new level of joy. And then, he told me his word, and it was a really cool word. It was a really decent word, and he had a really decent meaning behind it. And then I want to say it wasn't until a few days later that it really, my real word hit me. And I was walking down the street, and the word that came to my mind was grace. And I thought about it. I'm like, yo, that's my word. And I thank you, bro. I thank you for asking me that because I think that grace is a word that constantly comes to mind when it comes to my marriage and it comes to life and it comes to, you know, excuse me, it comes to just my friendships and relationships. And to me, I believe that grace is a uh, a space for imperfections. Is a safe space for imperfections, and I have experienced that in my marriage. You know, grace is an amazing tool. Is an amazing tool. It allows you to just take the time to give space for that person to be imperfect. That's my definition. Grace is, you know, the space to allow somebody to be imperfect. Now, I did look it up. We good on time? Shout out to my guy. I want to shout out to my brother. I want to say shout out to my brother. Shout out to my guy, Sully Ranks, for coming through on episode 4 of the Keisha Husband Podcast. I appreciate you, bro. And I researched grace, right? And it says through the kindness or help of God. And I believe that I cannot do anything. I cannot do anything without God, without His grace, and I need it because there's times where I fall short. There's times where I feel I'm imperfect. You know, there's times where I'm just not, you know, I'm just not going to live up to my own expectations or anyone else's expectations. And I truly believe that grace is an amazing tool and that we all should have it for one another. And that's what God tells us, you know. He says, you know, give grace. So that was really cool. So shout out to my brother Marquise for asking me that. And that's my word, man, grace. I think grace is, you know, grace is incredible. Yeah. So yeah, and then also we in the last episode, right? Me and Keisha, we were having a really cool conversation, and we talked about how we were having a conversation in a car, and how I started to she questioned me about photography, and I started to just fall back from it. And she was like, "Wait, I know you want to get the Keisha Husband podcast, you know, on and popping and running, and you excited about that. But what about photography?" And as you heard in that conversation, I spoke about it a little bit, but I want to speak about it more now. So it was about a few months ago, and I was hired to do an event, and I get to the event. I'm super excited. I do everything that I'm supposed to do. I take the pictures. I do a presentation on a projector. I set the projector up. I tear the projector down, and excuse me, and I get home, and instead of taking the time to do things that in the order that I normally would do them, I was so excited to get upstairs to go, you know, to be with my wife that I didn't start the work that I normally would do. The order that I would normally do things, I would come downstairs, I would separate the files, I would start working. She would go upstairs, have her time to herself. But I was just so eager to like just get upstairs that I didn't even do that. I didn't even do things the way I normally would do. And then the following day, I had a photo shoot. I had another shoot, an event to do. And when I look back at it, what I was in that time, I can sense that, you know, I was operating out of a space of hustle. I was just in this space of just hustle and bustle and chaos. It was just so much. It was just so much chaos going on, and I started to become comfortable with that chaos, and it was just like all my wires were crossed. All of my wires were crossed, and what God did next was what brought me to this moment now. it like brought things to a halt, and it quieted things completely, and it just brought this newness. So what happened was I lost the client files. That has never happened before, and it sent me into this super space of discouragement. It made me question my abilities as a photographer. It made me question my gift. It made me I didn't feel good. And instead of leaning into that, I ran away from that. I ran away from the feelings that I had, and I just pretty much zipped up my photography bag, and I didn't want to look at a picture. I didn't want to talk about it. And anytime anybody saw me out or asked me about, hey, how's photography going? I'm smiling, yeah, it's cool, man, super cool. I'm saying that, but as life was going on, I didn't have any bookings. Things weren't coming through. And I'm just refreshing the emails. Refreshing the Instagram. Nothing is coming through. I'm like, what's going on? God, what's going on? It's like, it's a drought. It felt like it was a famine. It felt like it was a drought. What I experienced was God's voice. And what I felt God saying was, it's time for something new. And there's been something on my heart that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And a long time for me is about a year or so now. And it hasn't been more clear than now. I'm like, with me just really locking in spiritually, me just speaking to God more than I ever have, me listening to him more than I ever have. And I'm just like, God, I want to do this. I want to do this. I told my wife after that conversation we had, this is what I want to do. And God said it to me more clear than ever. I want you to do this event. I want you to restart the business, and I want you to give me the glory. Because truth be told, I started Hand of Views 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, I wasn't close to God. I didn't have Keisha in my life. And I did not involve God in the process at all. Hand of Views started, it was born off of hustle. Of course, it was love because I learned that I love photography, but God was not involved in it. I never prayed. I never prayed about the business. I didn't ask God about, when people inquired, I never asked God about the decisions. I didn't involve God in anything that had to do with Hand of Views. It has had a really good run, but God told me that, if you did it your way, now do it my way. And to that, I say, yes, God. I say, yes, God. Over the weekend, we were at church, and shout out to City Life, right? I want to say shout out to City Life and some really cool people over there. I want to shout out to my guy, Jordan. I want to shout out to AJ. You know what I mean? I want to shout out to the whole City Life worship team because there's some really good people over there. And that song, Yes, God, a few lyrics from the song, it says, you call me out to turn from my doubts. I've hesitated for fear of the unknown, but here in my worry, you are standing beside me. And I say, yes, God. And I want to say shout out to the City Life worship team because I am in a space of saying, God, not my will, but your will be done. I surrender over Hand of Views to you right now from this moment forward. With that being said, with my earnings, I'm going to tithe. I give it all to you. I no longer want to accept a client without involving God in it. And I am doing an event called, Handed Headshots. And what that's going to be the relaunch, the rebrand, and just the reintroduction of Handed Views. And this is something that I've wanted to do for a while now. I just was like, man, I want to do headshots for people. I want to offer that. I like taking pictures. I like serving people. And what better way to do it than offering, some amazing headshots? Because everybody need headshots. What better way than to reintroduce the brand, get some worship going, share my testimony with the people than to have it all in a space and, handed headshots. So that's what it is. Handed headshots is happening December 14th. You can go to, once this is available, I'm going to make sure there's going to be a link on my website. It's going to be at www.handedviews.com. There's going to be a tab on there for you to register for the event, for the Handed Headshots event. And at this event, it's just going to be so much love, so much a space of grace, a space of rebirth, a space of newness, a space of worship. I might have said that. Did I say worship? But I'm gonna say it again: a space of worship, a space of love, and just come celebrate with me. Come celebrate with me because I've done it my way. I've done it my way. I've done it halfway God's way, halfway my way. But this time around, from this moment forward, I want to do it all God's way. I want to do it all God's way, and I want to dedicate the business to God. I want to give God the glory in everything moving forward. I only want to work in spaces and with people that God wants me to work with, no matter how the opportunity looks, no matter how much it pays, what it sounds like. I don't want it if it isn't aligned with God's will for my life and for Handed Views, because I truly believe that that's what it is, and that's just how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it, and that's how the energy I'm on forever. And I think about how Jesus is the vine, and we're the branch, and I can't do nothing apart from him. I can't do anything apart from him, and I don't want to do anything apart from him. So that's what it is, and that's how I'm moving forward from this point forward. So yeah, December 14th. Let me get the address for you guys. December 14th, we are doing Handed Headshots, and it's going to be at 3301 South 20th Street. That is none other than my church, City Life Philly. We rocking out, we worshiping, we getting headshots done, Handed Headshots. Spread the word, tell a friend. The relaunch, the rebranch of Handed Views is on December 14th, 3301 South 20th Street. Make sure you tell somebody. Come get some pictures done for your Instagram profile picture, your LinkedIn profile picture. If you a model, if you an actor, if you a singer, if you a rapper, if you a nurse, if you a teacher, if you a student, anything. If you need some professional pictures in all ages too. If you want to bring your 2-year-old, if you want to bring, your grandma, anybody can come and get some headshots at a discounted rate. You'll see on the site in a few how much it's going to be. It's going to be super discounted, super love. Come on out, come enjoy the vibe, and that's what it is. Oh, I think we good. All right. I thank you guys for tuning in to the 4th episode of the KEISHA'S podcast. And I'll see y'all in a minute. Peace.